they didn't know what to do with the magazine. And I wanted to turn it into a cosmopolitan for teenagers. And the only thing was I didn't want to leave my son in daycare. So I turned it down. It kept working at home.
Those comics could have been so beautiful if you had done them, and maybe they wouldn't have failed. I mean, they failed. I feel that they failed because these guys were clueless. You know, I just showed those two covers, especially the Your Yesterday Baby. I mean, they had no idea what young women were like.
No, they didn't at all. Well, how many young women did they see? They were locked up. They were locked up in the comics place. And when you work in comics, you know, it's a 37-hour day. You don't go anywhere. You don't
From the other side.
Except maybe a few steps away. And they had no idea how to involve, especially the young people.
This door
Most
opens.
of them, to me, look
There's
like
a door that opens to
Joe
that
Crawford.
side.
You
Yeah.
know, all men were very chiseled.
Yeah.
They
Okay,
didn't
it's
look
in
like
here.
that.
No, they didn't. They were completely out of date. And like I say, I feel that the guys, you get the impression the guys felt that if they gave the woman a short skirt, then that's all they needed to do, and she was fashionable. So there were no other women at this point drawing for DC, right?
Right. Yeah, from the beginning, although I didn't know this till just recently. I was the only woman drawing, actually illustrating for DC Comics during what they called the Silver Age, 60s and the early 70s. There were other people coloring, but not illustrating. And I only found that out about 6 months ago. And it surprised me more than anybody else.
So, you know, I'm in a state of amazement that you found it so easy because they weren't hiring any other women. It's like just, you know, the gods were smiling on you.
Yes, but I was also an experiment. You know, I was Joe Orlando and Victor Orlando. I was their experiment. They wanted to see how the work was accepted and if it would go over. And they never said anything to me, and I never thought twice about it. You know, to me, it was just a way of running a living. I had no idea whether people liked it or not. Quite honestly, I didn't really care as long as I was paid to do it. And I loved it. I loved looking through magazines and picking out fashions and literally illustrating magazines.
But you did see what the guys were doing. Like you say, it was like Joan Crawford and whoever, Cary Grant. I mean,
Well, it was
Clark
Cary
Gable.
Grant.
It was Cary Grant, yeah. But they were so out of date.
Yeah.
And these guys were not, well, some of them I guess were older, but they weren't all that old.
The biggest problem, I think, is the stories that were so, it wasn't what they were wearing. The stories were out of date. They just weren't in touch with the way a young girl feels. They had absolutely no idea. And I think I was from age 19 to 24 at one point when I was there the first time. So, of course, I knew what young girls were thinking. I wasn't. But, I don't know, maybe they thought, you know, how their wives felt who were older was me also. And I think this was around the time the mod book
Yes.
came into
Oh, that's
and Helen Gurley
Yes.
Brown of Cosmopolitan had the right
Never been
idea.
on the
She put Burt Reynolds on a centerfold,
I
starred
didn't
naked
see
in
mine.
the middle of the magazine. And the girls loved it.
Oh,
It
yeah,
went
yeah.
wild. But DC wasn't afraid.
That was not going to happen, did you see? No.
I tried.
Did you?
I tried. Yes, I did. I tried to make it happen, but they weren't interested.
So, where did you go? What did you do after the Love Comic simply died?
I colored.
Uh-huh.
I colored. And from DC, I went to Neil Adams, Continuity Graphics. And then I came out here and I colored for a while for a place called TSR. And they died. And fell off on my famous words. But I'm always falling off. And I stopped working. Now, if I'd known that all this existed, CopperCon, I was trying to do fine arts. I was going to places in Scottsdale and all these fine art places. And you're saying, oh, you're
Yes.
I'm watching you, you know.
I just had to change arms.
They're holding, they're showing me, you know, beautiful paintings, but it wasn't what I was comfortable doing. And they just weren't interested in that, just that tiny little hint of comic book flavor that my work still has. So, I literally gave up.
You didn't stop drawing.
No, I've done some children's books and reading cards and what I really enjoy doing are those little flip cards where you just flip it and it animates. So, and I have some ideas in my head that are going along very nicely. And I'd like to get back to doing more stuff like this.
I think we would like to go back to doing stuff like this. I
Yes.
really do. I want to see your work published. I want to see more of it.
The next thing that I have in mind is a coloring book. And I think that would work out very well. Give kids a chance to color work by the colorist.
I want to color your work.
Okay, then you got it.
Great.
I'm definitely going to do
Great.
it.
Tell us about the children's book.
Oh, I've done 2 or 3 little books. Nothing major, local artists. And it's more of a cartoon style than this. It's nothing like this. I should have brought something like it.
The Purple Storm is beautiful.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the Purple Storm, yes, it was a beautiful little book, but it's not this kind of style. It's more cartoonish.
Well, before that, you had done a syndicated strip that was very cartoony.
Oh, yeah, that I missed. That I really missed. I had a syndicated strip with Newsday Syndicate, and I think I had about 40 papers in the country. And just before they were going to put it, they were going to replace Mark Trail in the New York Post. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that.
Boring.
Right? And unfortunately, I fell off another horse, and I was 6 weeks late. It must be 6 weeks ahead on the strip. So they replaced me, and I stopped doing that.
They replaced you with Mark Trail?
No, they replaced Mark Trail with somebody else.
Ah.
And then Kathy Dicewhite came along.
You are so much better than she was.
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I watched her on the Johnny Carson show, and they wanted me to go on Carson's show to promote the comic strip. And I was afraid of Johnny Carson, because I had seen him with women, and he was kind of nasty. You know, he could be very nasty. And, but...
It was a flirt.
No, I'm not talking about the flirting, I'm talking about the nasty. He could be very nasty if he didn't like somebody. And I said, I'll do it if you get me Merv Griffin. I figured he was a nice father type guy. So anyway, that didn't work out. But I was watching Kathy Dicewhite with Johnny Carson one night, wearing a suit like mine, hairdo like mine, and a comic strip which, although flattering, was taken from mine. And I didn't like that at all. I was very disappointed.
Well, the difference was she couldn't draw. I mean, the characters, you know, she couldn't, for instance, she couldn't do elbows. So that Kathy's arms always stick straight out, you know? I mean, you could tell, cartooning is a simplified art, but you can tell when the person who is cartooning knows how to draw. And she really didn't know how to draw.
Oh, that's the whole thing with cartooning. We learned that at the School of Visual Arts, because I used to say, hey, you know, cartooning is my major. Why am I learning, why am I in foundation class? Why am I even learning this stuff? And the instructor said, because you have to learn the human body and anatomy before you can distort it. And if you don't know that, then you won't be able to distort it, and it'll come out wrong. So I guess, I don't think Kathy's still running.
No, no, it's gone.
Maybe I'll try again.
Oh, that would be wonderful. There are very, very few newspaper strips by women. It's really quite pathetic.
I noticed that. There was one here in Arizona with a little baby. I've forgotten the name of it. And that didn't run for very long either. And I think it was because of computers. People get their news on computers now, and they've stopped buying newspapers. Newspapers are about, I don't know, maybe it's 75 or 50% what they used to sell for. And so the comic strips have gone down a lot. But I could get it.
I think we would love that. Do you think it's time to open this up to questions from the audience?
Love it.
Okay.
You think that they do a collaboration then? You write a story and you illustrate it?
There you go.
Oh, I would love
We
to.
talked about that, yes.
I would love
Yes.
to have you illustrate something I wrote.
And I would love to illustrate it. I love it.
Thank you. I would
Have
love
a
you this
Rosalind
time.
Mutual
Yes,
Adoration Society up here. But it's the truth. Actually, Trina and I have known each other at a distance for what, 30 years or more? And all of a sudden, a gentleman named Mike Rodon told me to come to a CopperCon up in Minnesota. And he said Trina was going to be there. And that was the first time we met, was about
Yes.
3 months ago.
Uh-huh.
And we're like Mike and Jeff now, you know.
And of course, Mike got me to go to the convention because he said Liz would be coming. And I was so excited to finally meet you.
Me too. Me too. It's been a pleasure. And I've met so many people now. My whole life has turned around. It's just been great. It's just been great. I'm very glad to be back in the business. And had I known there was such a thing as comic convention, I would have been doing it a long time ago. I didn't know they existed. I had no idea.
Somebody else, questions? Yes.
Yes.
With CopperCon doing this whole resurgence and trying to get people active in the communities and keep comics alive, how did they promote comics back in the day? Because it predates.
As I remember, they had a few comic book stores, but that was it, you know. And you would go to the comic book store and look around. Maybe there were a few graphic novels.
No graphic novels yet. No.
Well, maybe it was not 10 years, maybe it was like 80s or
80s.
90s.
80s.
Yeah.
But the 70s, no graphic
No,
novels yet.
right. They didn't do any advertising.
Really?
Yeah.
There were
I think
conventions.
Neil was the first one.
There were conventions. The first,
Well, you would know.
yeah, the first comic convention actually was, I think, 1968.
Wow.
Yeah, that was in New York, and I can't remember the name of the guy who put it on, but he was a really nice guy. I missed that one, though. I went to the one in 1969, which was the second comic convention ever. And then I moved to San Francisco, and the first San Francisco Comic-Con was in 1973. So, you know, there were already conventions. Not like now. I mean, every little city has a convention. I don't
3 or 4 at a
yeah.
time.
I'm
yeah.
not saying that Mesa is little, but you know,
But it's little.
that's little, yeah. So, you know, there's, everywhere you live in the United States, there's a convention you can go to. Yeah,
So when did you start? What year? And when did you
And when you say you fell on a horse, did you fall on a horse, fell down and got hurt?
Well, I just say, there were things going on in my life. Life happened. I just find it easier to say I fell off a horse because the explanations are.
I understand. But I wanted to be sure it wasn't a real horse.
Well, I did fall off a few horses. Yes, I have fallen off a few horses in my day. But, yes, I just needed it. There was a blog, Jackie Nodell had a blog called Sequential Crush.
Yeah.
And I explained that in the blog that I did for her about 6 months ago.
It's called parental?
Sequential.
Oh, sequential. Sequential crush. So, like, so I can put it in.
Well, I started with Archie Comics
Okay.
in 19, and I started out, I went down there thinking I was going to draw for them, no problem. And maybe that's part of what helped me, is I never had a doubt in my mind anytime I went anywhere. It was, I'm going to do this. And Richard Goldwater, who was the Richard Goldwater's son, he said, I like your coloring. He said, we don't need another person to draw Archie. We've got people to draw Archie. He said, but I like the way you color. And he put me together with Victor Gorelick, who still does the production department there. And Vic and I, he taught me how to edit the magazine. And we were the promotion department and the coloring department. And then I'd take work home. And one day, I fell off a horse. And no, I really didn't. It was just a silly thing. And that's when I started working. I think it was a matter of 2 weeks. I started working with DC. And in between jobs, when I couldn't find artwork, I would go to some business and be a receptionist. Work for 23 men at a time, you know. And then in 1961, that's when I started coloring permanently. And by 1964, I was illustrating.
For DC?
Yeah.
For their romance books?
Yeah.
Really? Because all the ones that I have are from the early 70s. I didn't realize you even did any art
Oh,
for
yeah.
the books. Wow, I'm going to
Yeah.
have to dig further.
I'll probably be able to look them up because my son has a whole bunch of them in a trunk somewhere. And right in between, like 64 and 68, that's when I started doing the syndicated comic strip, Karen. And that was funny in itself because like any other artist, I named it Liz.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kathy named hers Kathy.
see,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it works. So Bill Moyers, who was in charge of Newsday in those days, he took it home and he showed the strip to his daughter. And he said, do you think this is funny? Do you think we should publish it? And she said, yes, she's 15 years old. So he came back to me and he said, if you agree to call it Karen, which was her name,
Aha!
he said, we will publish it. And I said, Mr. Moyers, you can call it Irving as long as you publish it. And they did. And let's see, from there, what year, that was 68. Then I went back to DC and did more coloring, more illustrating. But the illustrating didn't last too long after that. Through the early 70s. And then I went back to coloring again. So coloring was always the thing I would fall back on when something else, I say fall back on, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. From there, I moved out here. between there somewhere, I did some work for Neil Adams, continuity graphics. And I came out here, and that's pretty much when the comic books stopped, and I just did little things. Because I had an exclusive contract with Neil Adams, but he didn't hold on to it, so. I stopped doing it.
Do you still ever do any fashion illustration on your own for fun, or?
I've done a couple for a few, well, see, when I left New York, that's why I say when I came out here, I didn't know where to go because they were kind of publishing. In New York, every corner you turn in the 40s, in Midtown, there are publishing houses, there are fashion houses that, hire people to illustrate. Now they use photographs, but they used to hire people, and the hair magazines, they used to hire people to draw the pictures. So I have a lot of that stuff too, but everything was done in between. DC and continuity were the two steady things that lasted for years. Everything else was in between, stuck in between. Like, oh, well, I don't have to do a comic book this week, so I'll find something else.
I just want to add that you're not the only woman in comics who also did fashion illustration. This was comparatively common. Hilda Terry, who also drew a teenage strip, Tina, from 1941 to 1966, started in fashion illustration. And if you look at her comics, she does great fashions, lovely little outfits from the 50s. Gladys Parker, who drew Mopsy, another charming
I love
strip.
that.
Yes,
I love that.
isn't it
I
wonderful?
read that.
Well, did you know that she was also a fashion designer?
No.
Yes, there were magazine articles about her. I have an ad from, I think it was Best and Company, which was a New York department store, featuring fashions by Gladys Parker. Beautiful fashions.
Does anybody else remember Mopsy?
Yes.
I love that strip.
And she looked like Mopsy. Have you ever seen her?
No, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to do some
you'll
research.
see it in my book, Pretty in It, which is coming out in the fall. There's, I have a page from Look magazine that features her as a young fashion designer, and she's so cute. She's wearing this outfit that she made, that she designed herself, and there's a pocket on the sleeve that is heart-shaped. She's wearing her heart on her sleeve.
Oh, I love it.
It's so cute. And she had hair. She looked like Mopsy.
It was such an adorable character. Because you had to see it. Look it up on Google. I'm sure you'll be able to find it.
Or look for it in my book. Yes.
Well, when the book comes out.
When the book comes out.
Anybody else?
We could call it a day. Or a night. Do you have any last statements?
Oh, the only thing I would have to say is that I do believe that I've been very fortunate in my life getting the work that I've done, that I also happen to love. And I've been even more fortunate after a long time of not being able to do anything, to have it drop back into my life and wake me up again. And I feel in the last year that I've actually begun another life. It's like this is my 5th life. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it.
You have 4 more left.
You got that?
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Great, I have time to run back to my hotel. Okay.